Is it on?
Hopefully we are.
I don't know. It says something went wrong. Let me check the chat.
Let me try over here. I'll bring
it
it up over on this side.
Okay, we're trying something. I don't know. Are we on? Can you guys hear me?
There should be one.
Is using a MagSafe charging plug to fish.
Sorry. Okay, can you sound check? Can you guys hear us? Okay, cool. Thanks. Thank you, Robbie. All right. Hello, 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 hello. Glad we could make it. We just have something, as usual, something funky going on with the technology. Miss Jen and the Birds, it is always so delightful to see you and say that, Jen and the Birds. I mean, it's just you need to be singing up on stage. You're so beautiful. It's a beautiful name. So good to see you, Robbie, DJ. All right, DJ. Hope you're doing well. Miss Christine Love, Wolf Mother, loud and clear. Well, thank you there. We appreciate that for that response. Quintress, good to see you. Thanks for coming in. Miss Christine, love the blue butterfly there. So it's great to see everyone. It really is. This is the only one I could not pronounce, dear. I give Mike the hard names.
Which one?
That one.
Well, let me see. I can't seem to read it there. Achukamvalid.
Yes.
Well, we could just say Mr. Johnson or Miss Johnson.
There we
Mr.
go.
Johnson.
Yeah, we'll just take it, Mr. Johnson. Good to see you. I don't like it when I butcher names. I always do my best. If I can't say it, I hand it to Mike. If he can't say it, then you're Mr. Johnson. So sorry about that. All right.
He might not be able to see it because he's been out in the sun all day, and my eyes have been used to the blaring sun, and then trying to look at the the little phone. I can't see it. Again, it's great to get out in the sunshine. It boosts your immune system, give you vitamin D, activate your pineal gland. Very important if we want to, go into the Bronze Age fully ready, fully prepared.
Yes, fully prepared. Oh, we have a Zozo Jones in the house. Sky Warrior. Buenas noches. Good to see you. Hello, Miss Kimberly. Great to see you as well. Catch Many. Hello, hello.
Was asking any eggs yet?
No, I think we still have about 4 weeks to go, but we do have, Sita is very excited, and we've started feeding a layer feed, so it's getting close.
Yeah, and we added a big addition to the coop, and we did do a video or two, I think 2 or 3 videos in the coop, again, with the chickens. Maybe we'll be able to do that tomorrow as well and show you the addition to the coop, which now these chickens they got it good. The council of 9 could be the council of 39 because we have enough room for them now. The problem is, again, with chickens, we know we have 3 roosters. So we don't know if we're going to have to separate them, but that's what we're getting prepared for. And then the possibility of bringing in new hens into the mix. So I got to get building a second home, probably for the roosters. But we do have a good size piece of run that could be separated from the main coop. It's just part of turning this truly into the EEARTS homestead. It's part of where we're going. And we had probably as good as any watermelon I've ever had, ever. And it grew in our own backyard. And we have another 3 or 4 that's ready, and we have more coming. And yesterday I had the most delicious cantaloupe I've ever had, and it came from our own backyard. And this is really, it feels so good to be growing so much of our own veggies. And I love veggies. This little girl next to me, on the other hand, well, she's not so good about her veggies.
We all have our drawbacks. We do. So, I see a lot of people commenting about the very horrible air quality. I am so sorry, you guys out there. I mean, it's going to affect everyone to a degree, but the more...
big clouds.
Yeah, we have clouds, but we don't have anything near what you guys are having to tolerate. I hope you do have air cleaners you are able to get, and they're turned on and they're vacuumed out. Yeah, it's pretty frightening. So sorry about the air quality. Let's make a focus to shift it and make things better.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we had uploaded this video and put it on Patreon. It was one that was removed from YT all the way back in 2020. This was really cool because we love this place. This little yurt is by El Malpais, if you know that spot in New Mexico. It's past Grants. It's in between Grants and Albuquerque. And we were living in the area for a little less than a year. And we met a lot of really cool people in the area, and there was a lot to see. And this place was very, very blessed. It was all a great yurt for meditation, tons of good books and stuff. It was a blessing, traveling around and living in a few different areas, getting to feel what life is like in different spots.
Yes, it definitely was fun. And Jen and the Birds had an idea about, us having our own heirloom seeds and we could sell them. And yes, we could. That's an excellent, excellent idea, Jen. So appreciate that. Christine Love, I've had a headache for a few days now from it. Oh no. Oh no. We'll do what we can on the headache on the live. I'm always sending out positive energy to try to offset negative energy. So hopefully maybe it'll help. What comes to my mind though is just detoxing. I know you're really, really good, but maybe a little extra lemon water, a little extra milk thistle, things just to help your body pump out those toxins. And let's not forget, we have to do that. I think it might be a second thought when we're breathing in the unhealthy air. Like, I don't think it's the forethought that we should immediately detox, but we need to because of all the things that are in the air quality. I saw some tests that were being done, and a lot of graphene oxide were shown in the smoke. And I forgot the other things. There were some simple, basic things, but then there were also a bunch of other chemicals that we're all breathing in now.
Yeah, we all hope you feel better, Christine. Yeah, it's challenging. Quintress has it down in DC as well, so think about that, because if I remember right, it used to take me 4.5 hours, maybe 5 hours to go from where I was in Connecticut down to DC. So that's a good distance. And again, this is all the way over to like Michigan, Wisconsin, so in the northern Midwest area is all plastered. Pennsylvania, we have family members in Pennsylvania saying the same thing. It's just atrocious.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible. So we're definitely sending a lot of prayers out there. But there is a lot going on. It feels like there's like Earth, she's doing her thing, but it also feels like there are other things that are very deliberate to make our lives difficult and not so good. And it's hard to navigate through that with a positive attitude all the time. But, if you get angry or frustrated, really all that does, unless you are directing it in a positive way, like with your anger, I always say, you could forge a sword or you can burn your house down with it. And we all have to decide what is best for us to do. And I say forge the sword anytime you can think of it. Just make yourself stronger and better with whatever you're faced with. And that's, another big purpose of coming together with these lives.
So when we look at it right now, we currently have 28 volcanoes that are active, right? 28 volcanoes. I do think that one of the signs that we're going to another level is when we get new activity. This week we had 5 new volcanoes come online. Now, a couple of those had volcanic activity in the not too distant past, but it's when we see some of those ones that haven't been erupting for hundreds of years, then we're or even thousands. Then we're definitely stepping into the Twilight Zone. Yeah, we're going to a different place, and really the volcanic activity when it goes up to like a VEI 7, depending on where it's located in the earth, it could be massively disruptive. And we're just talking about crops and food. That's the one thing that keeps going up is food prices. We got to do a little shopping tomorrow. I'll probably run into town and get some things. And every time you do it now, I mean, I know he's got to preach to the choir. It's ridiculous how expensive everything has gotten. This world doesn't have to be this way. It's just so beyond obvious. It's like I ate that one cantaloupe and it was wonderful. And there's enough seeds for me to get probably several hundred cantaloupe. Again, nature provides. It's not nature. I don't believe it's nature that's doing this to us. I don't believe it's even natural cycles. I think, there are natural cycles that could be more challenging than others. The problem is we've been disconnected from Mother Nature herself. And again, in the most dominant tradition, the Abrahamic tradition on the planet, 60-something%, about 2/3 of the people on the planet follow some form of the Abrahamic tradition. And it really doesn't mention the whole divine feminine side. And when you think about it, they've got us so divided left and right that if you start talking about, divine feminine or, they'll automatically, there's going to be this tie in to the women's rights that some people will obviously say, well, should be women's rights. I mean, everybody should be viewed as an equal, but with different skills, different abilities. To me, that seems like it should be obvious. But at the same time, you do have, again, this conservative, progressive, Democrat, Republican, and it breaks down into so many different ways, Islam and Christianity, all these different dogmatic belief systems, capitalism, communism, right? I saw like and just to bring this up, it was headlining Drudge, and we're going to talk about the war too. No, they're not showing it right now, but earlier this morning, it was just saying how socialists are overtaking MAGA. Again, socialists are going to be, winning seats, so to speak, and MAGA is going to go down. Again, I don't think there's a good system on the planet. I don't think there's been a good system on the planet for 6,000 years. I think we could do better, way better. In fact, the systems we've seen on the planet, they've all failed us miserably. Why don't we try something new? Why do we keep switching from one system to another? They're all corrupt. They're all crooked. This is the thing. We have to bypass the system by actually coming together. And when the people stop going along with, again, the wars and the warfare, and including the weather warfare and all the crimes against humanity, when we refuse to go along with all the things they want to do, because they're hell-bent on having the U.S. and China in direct conflict, and that's probably still going to be able to happen unless people say, hell no, we're not going for this. Here we have the birthing of Bertha. It's not official. It's just one computer model run. But the graph model is showing the possibility of this building into a system. And this was forming unusually. We actually mentioned this casually, I think in the last live yesterday, how it was kind of unusual how this system was popping up out of nowhere. And certain weather watchers, not meteorologists, just people like you and me that watch all this, maybe have for 10, 20 years, spotting unusual development and unusual frequencies. And as Cindy was saying, isn't this going in reverse? Don't the storms usually go from west to east? Well, yeah, we have a certain rotation of the planet that generally gives you that. Of course, it depends on where the highs and the lows are and all these other factors. But typically, you don't see that too much. We have seen that a few times in recent years, and it certainly has felt like steering storms to places to do a lot of damage. I'll tell you right now, in the Arklatex area, it's pretty soggy. A lot of areas are pretty soggy. I just looked at the weather forecast, and we're forecast to be 102 actual temperature. I think was Tuesday. Man, with the humidity we have, you just die out there. 102 with like 98% humidity. And, again, the flooding that we're watching all around this world. Oh, man, we got some insane ones to show today. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with anything. I wouldn't be surprised if this came in and stalled over New Orleans, or, who knows how they're going to steer this. Now, the question might be more like, who is actually steering this? Is this weather warfare from China? Doing this to us while we're doing other things to them? That feels pretty likely to me. What do you guys think?
I don't know. And, kind of watching it, it looks like it's a back and forth to me. The big water main break, they say that happened with a 110-year-old pipe. And they've now, of course, I can't imagine how much water, how many people are out of water on some of the hottest days right now. And watch, there's going to be some fires, and everything for them has a purpose to the dark matrix. And it's sad. It's sad. What do? You send those people love and energy.
Yes. Laws are created by nature alone. I wish that was really the case with the world system at this point, Bob. Good to see Cortez in the house. JS, our system is preventing free energy. I agree completely. Every time I hear them say drill baby drill, and people give Trump a harumph, if you know what I mean, it just makes me nauseous, because again, we don't have to have that. And bragging about, well, we're producing more oil than any other nation in the world. We don't have to. It's just consolidation of wealth. And also, it's again doing it in a way that toxifies every single one of us, and all the animals too. I'm a huge animal lover. Actually, it's like I'm putting food out, not just for our chickens, but for the deer. We try to help a mangy fox with a little ivermectin on some sardines. We'll see if that works. Again, we could do things so much different, and this whole world could function so much better. So I don't want to see any of the systems that are in place right now in 10, 20 years from now. I hope we have thrown all that off, and I hope that the planet is recovering at that point. Sooner the better.
I think so. It's just going to take some difficulties, because you can't really take you need to put something new in its place, but you can't put anything new in its place until the old is gone. So yes, I agree. Free energy, it's already here, and a lot of people have been unalived, for having knowledge of that free energy, and that's not right. I don't It should be widespread, but it's not. But do we have to go through the complete dismantling of everything before we get new energy in? I don't think it has to be that way. I think most technologies they're trying to put up there are just excuses right now. They're not the real, true, free, clean energy that we know is available. So that we'll see.
Lily Blade says the moon is rotating from rise to its set, crown to frown in 24 hours. Yeah, maybe that's something we could check out. Those that are able to see the moon through the smoke and see, maybe there is some change to it. I've seen the moon go totally blank. So what would it really take? Is it the projectionist that is just going to turn it upside down? I don't know, but just semi-facetious, but still. This, holy crap. Now, we were talking about the weather warfare, right? If this was done by weather warfare, then, there might be retribution coming back. This is China, and there's landslides that just happened in China and also in Vietnam. Look at this. We have Venezuela. Of course, we had the two big, oh my God, that's scary. We had the two big earthquakes in Venezuela. Then we had the big earthquake in Mexico. Look at this. I mean, look at all that came down. That is just insane.
That's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's going to another level at this point in time. It went to a totally different place in around 2017 after the August, eclipse, the first of the X marks the spot eclipse. And it seemed like it ramped up after 2024, but it's going to an even crazier level this year. It feels like this year is another, like somebody just turned the knob all the way up.
Yeah, it feels definitely like a frequency shift.
It is. It is. There is a frequency shift. Absolutely. Man, oh man. Multiple buildings collapsed near the Wujiang Three Bridges in Pengshui, Chongqing, China. Many people trapped under rubble. Major search and rescue operations. So we send our prayers to everybody over in that area. Holy cow. I mean, I just can't get over the size of that. And, it's just terrifying. Here you go. Here's a landslide too. This is a different one. Look at this. Is it weather warfare? Is the U.S. doing this to China, and then China's creating certain weather phenomena over here? And ultimately, again, it's just the system doing what it does.
I know. I mean, that is so huge. That whole side of the mountain just slips.
Pastenture says that we were one of the first ones to call BS on the plague upon the land situation. Thank you. The one thing I'd say for us is we've never changed. We've been saying the same thing the entire time since 2017. We've been maybe a broken record at times, and hopefully we don't irritate too many people. But yeah, no, I mean, we've had this vision, we've had these feelings, we've kind of seen things that from a certain perspective, and it really hasn't changed much at all. In fact, I would just say that the only difference is a little bit of back in 2017, 2018, 2019, a little bit of what I thought was just part of that natural cycle has now shifted more towards technology than even it was at that point in time. But I've always felt we're under weather warfare. Geoengineering is very real. The patents are there. Everything from earthquake machines, frequency machines, the healthcare system, which again we call the death care system, because it hasn't been very successful when you think about it. 8 dead, 34 missing after landslides buries more than 10 buildings. This is just horrible. Rescue efforts have been rough. And again, we send our prayers to everybody that is going through this or, has the terror of trying to find loved ones and not knowing what happened. This is in Vietnam. By the way, Vietnam did have big landslides as well. Just incredible what you're looking at here. We've seen so many villages kind of get swept away. Now, it's an undeniable fact that Vietnam suffered weather warfare from the United States during the Vietnam War. Operation Popeye. The United States caused villages to just be swept away through weather warfare back in the 70s. And it hasn't really, I don't think it's ever stopped. I think the weather warfare just keeps going on. But yeah, absolutely. When you look at it, Vietnam, back in the war, it was admitted, Operation Popeye, in case you guys don't know.
Yeah, just so much has been going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, search it if you've never heard of that. And here in Vietnam, at least 5 killed. Flash floods and landslides devastate Lai Chau and Lai Cai in northern Vietnam. And again, prayers to everybody over there too. There's so much suffering right now with this weather situation all across the world. Again, incredible amounts of water are coming down, and rice, other crops damaged. It's a problem. It's interesting too. There were accounts that were made by U.S. soldiers in Vietnam, I kid you not, of reptilian humanoid beings walking on two legs in the mountains there. U.S. soldiers came back with stories of seeing reptilian beings there in the mountains. And there's this cave that we've talked about, done a video or two on, that's absolutely massive. And it's just spectacular to see. I mean, the thing is enormous, like literally football fields high. And again, these beings were seen in areas where you have these massive caves, and they disappeared. In some accounts of them, they were actually glowing green. Really wild stuff. We're going to touch on some of that crazy cryptid stuff towards the end of the live show.
Yeah, I like the cryptid stuff. I mean, the weather warfare is just ongoing, and it's slowly going to cripple everything. And all we can really do is put out more positive intentions. I don't think we can stop it, but I think we can change certain aspects of it.
Yeah, and I just wanted, just in case there's anybody that's new, just wanted to show you again, Operation Popeye. There's a Wikipedia on this. Declassified in 74, between 67 and 72, highly classified. Weather control, basically caused flooding and literally swept away villages. With Operation Popeye, the U.S. government made the weather an instrument of the war. Very real, very, very real. Ecocide, there you go. Ecocide, that's a term. It's genocide and ecocide. Yeah, this is a sad situation. How about Spain? We were talking about Spain. We were talking about threats being made by the guy that runs that little country in the Middle East that seems to be inflaming the whole area towards Spain, just telling Spain, hey, don't get on our bad side because things could happen. Acts of nature could happen. Acts of God. But again, many beings have been classified as God that are just simply extraterrestrials, if you really want to get down to it. Interdimensional, extraterrestrial. Think of extraterrestrial. You could use that word by saying these beings come from extra areas on Earth that we might not really know fully of. Extraterrestrials. They're terrestrials, some of them, but they're from extra spots in Earth, under the ocean, and perhaps even lands that somehow have been hidden from us.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Zoe, if you're still listening, I hope you're not by any of these wildfires, as our dear sister Zoe is in Spain. And by the way, Zoe and her significant other are doing amazing things. These people are living out of a yurt. They're living off-grid. They basically bought a plot of land. They've been just basically living, roughing it. Not really. I shouldn't say not too much because their yurt's beautiful. And they've done a nice job on their homestead, and they're planting and they're growing. And they're doing it without a lot of funds. They're doing it very minimalistically, and a true inspiration. And our beautiful Zoe, by the way, is also a big sea survivor. And she is a survivor, and they're making it happen. So another inspirational story from a EEARTS family member.
Indeed.
Yes, and so we love you guys. Yeah, but this is Zaragoza area. 5 towns and villages to evacuate because of these wildfires. Spain's been hit by wildfires several years consecutively right now. Yeah, wonderful country. I would definitely love to go visit Spain. It would be high on my list of places to visit in Europe. Over 30,000 acres, unfortunately. Again, we send our prayers to everybody there. Then you have the war situation, which is escalating pretty rapidly. U.S. military says 2 troops are dead. 1 is missing after Iran attacks a base in Jordan. The U.S. military on Saturday announced its first troop deaths due to direct Iranian fire since the opening days of the war. So this marks another escalation. It's going to keep escalating. I do think that August is going to be a big month. I really expect August is going to have some historical markers, to say the least, and maybe even turning points. They say it's always darkest before the dawn. Well, that's kind of like where we're at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty yucky.
So, yes, minutes before the announcement of the deaths, right? Since the war began, I should say, 16 U.S. service members have been killed, over 430 wounded. That's from the U.S. side. The other side will tell you it's much larger than that. Where's the truth? Usually somewhere in the middle, as both sides always want to, brag in different ways. It's always done where you can't get a straight answer. Minutes before the announcement, Iran's supreme leader warned of unforgettable lessons if the U.S. keeps attacking the Islamic Republic. Not only that, but he also put out there that anywhere could be targeted. Oh, by the way, the mainstream media, because we were listening to somebody who was just a regular citizen that had air samples tested, and we found graphene oxide and a lot of chemicals in the air, and you can see they're showing you how it's going over into Pennsylvania and Ohio and New York State. Here he's talking about the air and why it smells like chemicals.
It doesn't necessarily smell like a campfire burning because as the smoke is carried across thousands of miles, sunlight breaks down these compounds, leaving behind toxic substances like benzene and formaldehyde, which is why the air can smell like chemicals. The American Lung Association warning of the long-lasting impacts from this, saying these particles can penetrate deep into the lungs and even enter the bloodstream. Particle pollution triggers asthma attacks, heart attacks, and strokes, and can kill.
So there you go. This is kind of like, again, that disclosure where they tell us everything. But, again, it's kind of like trying to get off, I guess, a karmic wheel.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
So we're caught between a rock and a hard place because, again, like, Christine was saying, she has to work outdoors. So are you going to wear a mask? When you're breathing in your own, carbon that you're trying to get rid of, your body is trying to take in the O2 and get rid of the carbon dioxide, you could kind of toxify yourself by, rebreathing that carbon dioxide. So it's not a good situation either way. That's just the bottom line.
No, it's just horrible.
So what you want to do is, again, have a HEPA filter, stay indoors, unfortunately, in this situation as much as you can, having air purifiers running. We only have one in the bedroom, and we have one in the living room, which is our office. So, again, I don't see it here, but we're a lot farther south. But, it could happen at any time. This is the thing. These fires can pop up anywhere. Toxic wildfire smoke begins to disrupt the local economic activity as a GOP senator readies Canada sanctions bill. Interesting. Deteriorate air quality across the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, Mid-Atlantic, and Northeast could be as bad or worse during the historic 2023 wildfire event. It could get worse before it gets better, Capital Weather warned. Very, very unhealthy. You could see this stretch here. Not a good situation, guys. Not a good situation. The heartland of Michigan there is really bad. Most of Wisconsin as well. Northeast corner of Illinois, northern Indiana, especially bad again. The northern portion of Ohio to the west, but even going down into Pennsylvania and all the way down to Maryland and stuff, New York State, Connecticut, you could see it's not a good situation. And it is a hazard to your health. Here you go with Six Flags Great America is closed because the air conditions are in the hazardous category under EPA limits due to Canadian wildfire smoke. Cedar Point, probably the craziest roller coasters in the world, closed early due to Canadian wildfire smoke. This is northern Ohio, by the way, again. Wildfire smoke in Pennsylvania. This is Pittsburgh. Some great restaurants in Pittsburgh, by the way. Dutch Wonderland shuts down mid air quality concerns. 700 plus active wildfires, 8.2 million acres already destroyed. There's no way this feels natural. No way.
No, not at all. I mean, it's just so deliberate too, and to make people sick. Because I know people have been saying they have headaches and they just really don't feel good. So how could you even, even those people that are asleep, I'm pretty sure they're thinking something's up.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of detoxing to do. That is for sure. And then you have the U.S. sending dozens more refueling planes to Israel amid the widening Iranian war. Oil is climbing. Will the U.S. invade Iran before 2027? I don't know if it'll ever invade Iran. I don't know if we'll invade Iran. I mean, technically, I think they might try to take control of, again, the Gulf area. They might try to take control of some islands. I don't think they're going to try to take control of Tehran. It almost feels like it would be an impossibility. But what you have is, again, Iran urges power conservation. Supplies are going to end up being an issue. We are going to have shortages. We're certainly going to have increased prices. That's a given. And it really, when you think about it, I find it almost utterly ridiculous, the logic of creating this situation, because they might develop a nuclear weapon in the future. When was the last time Iran attacked the U.S.? Well, they never attacked us directly, right? You did have the Iran-Iraq war, which, again, that was back in Saddam Hussein times. And again, Saddam was taken out of power, one of those 7 countries that was mentioned by General Wesley Clark. I don't know, we'll have to see. I've had the visions I've shared with you guys, and many people have too, of the U.S. being attacked directly. And then there was this Chinese general way back in 2003 that said that China wouldn't really benefit so much by taking over Taiwan, that at some point in time, in order to be able to maintain its population, it would need to take over Canada or Australia or the U.S. or any combination of the 3. By the way, U.S. strikes take out 116 telecommunications towers in southern Iran. And Iran has said again, they will, if we keep doing this, they will start striking anywhere. What does that mean? Well, again, it means the potential for any attack is possible on any U.S. territory if they are able to carry it out. So Iran formally declares the MOU deal dead, expands target list to Saudi-based Kuwait water plant. And, again, we were talking about that in the last live, that there's many places like, again, desalination plants for Israel. If those get targeted, it's going to be very, very hard to live even in Israel. This is just, it is absolutely starting to move like out of control, but it feels like this has been the trajectory that was always going to happen. I don't think there was a lot of people that were literally biting on the idea that they would actually come out with a peace agreement. Because, again, this has to trigger also an economic collapse, because they want to introduce, again, the new monetary system. But there is this war to dominate the planet from the BRIC side and NATO side, or the U.S. side, with some of its NATO allies, but not necessarily all, to see who's going to still remain the dominant power. The petrodollar, Saudi Arabia, U.S., the agreement again, Bretton Woods, all that. It's why the U.S. has been so economically dominant, but yet our manufacturing has been moved away. China, makes the vast majority of the world's goods, but other countries are coming up now and taking more and more share of that. And ultimately, India is set at some point in time, probably in the 2040 to 2050 range, to pass China economically. But here we have a Kuwait power and desalination plant hit. This is not a good area to be if, again, they wipe out these desalination plants. Life won't be able to stay there. Al Jazeera exposes a massive European supply chain crisis. The Rhine River is so dry that cargo ships must slash their loads by 60% to stay afloat. In other words, if they were loaded normally, they would be touching bottom and they wouldn't be able to move. Again, there is something going on with the Mississippi too, which Cindy has picked up on, that there's literally water being diverted. We feel, and this is just our feeling, is that some of what the data centers are doing is diverting water for more than one reason. Maybe, again, all those deep underground military bases and L-light bases and storage centers, maybe they're storing a lot of fresh water for themselves off the surface. Yeah, just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I think there's something weird going on there.
So 3 ships are needed to do the work of 1 ship as far as this goes. Now, this is, again, the Rhine, very famous river. I guess you could say the Rhine is to Germany as Mississippi is to the U.S. I would say that's simply kind of on a par. Oh, 47. Listen to this. One of the biggest driving forces in the future for jobs are data centers. Oh, here's a tweet. One of the biggest driving forces in the future for jobs are data centers. They are big, strong, bold, and money machines for the state in which they are built. Governor Kathy Hochul, for political reasons, has terminated all data centers being built or to be built in New York State. These companies are now being sought in Alabama, Florida, Texas, Arizona, and other states. Both the taxes and the jobs amount to liquid gold. I don't buy it at all. And this is, again, where that left-right divide, the Republican-Democrat divide, you could see how sometimes you'll have one side, like, let's say for what MAGA has done with health, I take to be overall positive. It's nowhere near enough, but compared to the way we were going, it's been an improvement. But then you're pushing the data centers. So in my mind, in my view, this is totally wrong and tons of crap.
Oh, it's absolutely horrible. I mean, I don't know why he's even remotely trying to spin it as if we would benefit.
Yeah, liquid gold. So this is one in which at least 47 is in my mind barking up the exact wrong tree. And again, it's not too often that we agree with the left, because we don't really agree with the left. We don't agree with the right either, because again, we need something new. They're leading us off this huge cliff. Data centers are not tremendous wins. Just like drilling oil, we could have free energy using the ether. That's not pseudoscience. It's real science, and it's science that's been hidden from us. And we could see there's all sorts of patents that have come out, and it's just been suppressed. So 23 earthquakes in this area in the last 24 hours. Been a lot of aftershocks after that big one that we saw. So in the last 24 hours, that's what you're looking at. And if we go extend out 45 for the last 7 days. 7.3, 6.0, 5.7. Again, there's a lot more to come. That is for sure. There's definitely pressure being released in some areas and building in others. We will definitely watch that closely. Parasites are ubiquitous. They burrow deeply. All human beings have parasites. If you treat them insufficiently, only with the big I product or with the big FEN product, you will disturb them. They will migrate deeply into another organ, like the pancreas, and you'll end up with issues. This is from Dr. Thomas Lodi, MD. So what you need to do is a multi-prong attack. And again, I think Dr. Hulda Clark was the first one to cover it. It's her parasite cleanse: wormwood, black walnut hulls, and cloves. That combination together is amazing. And we do this all the time.
We do. It's something that, I think it's a good idea to just sort of do it, just sort of constantly, have it in your weekly practice, take in some of this stuff once or twice a week and just keep those cleanses going. Now, you might have to stop. Like if you do it consistently and you kind of feel like, okay, nothing's happening anymore, then you want to take a break and probably take like a 2, maybe even a 3-week break, wait for a full moon, hit it again, and then do it another 7 days after that. So the moon, this is like really gross and disturbing, but it's true. It's when they make babies. I mean, it's super gross. It's when they mate and they make eggs, and so you definitely want to do the best you can to hit everything with, during a full moon. You're getting the most from everything, and then again 7 days later. Also, you want to be taking some type of a binder. Charcoal is a bit strong. I don't automatically recommend that for everyone, but if you're able to tolerate charcoal, a charcoal would be wise, because then you're killing them all, and then they're just laying there dying, and the ammonia and everything is going into your body. And sometimes it just keeps getting recirculated if something doesn't grab it and pull it out. So there's a whole process to it. It's just hard to explain because everybody has their own unique individual situation. So everyone's different about how you go about a parasite cleanse.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we have to say, like so many other YouTubers have to say, we are not MDs. Again, you got to check with authority, check with your DR. Although on this type of subject, I think you're better off checking with a naturopath, or maybe you check with your DR and a naturopath, or maybe your naturopath is your DR functioning. Again, it's wonderful when you have people that understand herbs, understand things like traditional Chinese medicine, and just a holistic way to treat things. But again, wormwood, black walnut hulls, and cloves, that's the triad that targets parasites, inflammation, and terrain dysfunction without ever experiencing side effects. Again, wormwood, exactly the same mechanism as the big I and big FEN for parasites and cancer. Wormwood contains artemisinin that specifically targets cancer cells while leaving healthy cells intact. Black walnut hulls, exactly the same mechanism again as those two that we had mentioned. Natural anti-parasitic, breaks down biofilms, improves immune function. Cloves gets rid of the eggs and dissolves parasitic egg sacs for their elimination from the body tissues. It also disrupts hard-to-kill second-stage juvenile parasites not eradicated by the big pharma stuff. So, and then also garlic, 1 to 2 raw cloves of garlic. And, that's something that I've been doing pretty regularly. Definitely helps combat worms due to its sulfur compounds. Now, another thing that we'll do too out in the lawn is again spread sulfur in certain areas to try to keep the pests from coming into our zone. Pumpkin seeds, they're great, and again, There's so many different things, papaya and its seeds, coconut oil and castor oil. Both of them are fabulous. Ginger, apazote, and pineapple with bromelain. I mean, there's so many things. Nature's given us all we need, in my opinion. Again, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I know they've done a lot to kind of really harm nature or take really good things and just make them really bad things. But the closer you can get to nature, the better. I know that there's some good things out there for medicines, and I'm glad that there are certain medicines out there that help people. But you always got to kind of watch that, because you might be helping one area and then screwing up 3 other areas or 4. So it can be very hard. And the body is, mind, body, spirit, it all works together, and it's going to work differently for everyone. So you just got to figure out what's the combination for you.
Yeah, and this is Dr. Mindy. She's one of our favorites when it comes to fasting. Dr. Mindy Pels, 3-day water fast twice a year. Yeah, I mean, I would try to do that at least every quarter. But again, everybody is different. 48-hour fast once per quarter for mental health and mood. 36-hour fast once a month if weight loss stalls. 24-hour fast once a week as a baseline. And then shorter daily windows, but you have to vary it a little bit so that your metabolism doesn't get too slow if you're constantly fasting. But 48 to 72 hours significantly increases autophagy. That's the cells cleaning out the junk. And cells also triggering stem cell regeneration. So that's awesome. Walter Longo's research showed that periodic 3-day fast or fasting mimicking diets can reduce markers of biological age. Shorter fast, 24 to 36, help improve insulin sensitivity and fat loss. Again, you have so much diabetes in this world too, and there's absolutely a correlation with eating too many processed foods and too many simple sugars.
Yeah, it's a mess out there.
Meanwhile, they redid the Odyssey. Again, when in doubt and you need a hit, just go back to the old myths and legends and redo them. Christopher Nolan's mythological epic continues to rise as star-studded adaptation from Universal is eyeing being the best action adventure. Odysseus in the Odyssey. What was really, really cool is they show basically giants in there that, man, it feels like you're looking at the Anunnaki themselves and all their offspring. Think about it. I mean, this resonates with us. How about all those monsters, all these hybrids, things like Medusa, Cyclops, Centaurs, Minotaurs? What's really the situation with that? And this is Danny Sheehan talking about full disclosure. Full disclosure would reveal a non-human civilization surrounding our solar system in our galaxy with direct communication concealed by the national security state. Yeah, they've always been here. There's all sorts of beings. And we've gotten some pretty fascinating info that Cindy's been channeling and picking up on in bits and pieces that we'll be sharing shortly. Congressman Eric Burleson on Brazil's 1996 UFO crash. They've requested to exhume the body that came in contact with the alien. Ooh, again, while we've seen a lot of fakes, the reality is they've admitted there have been bodies recovered. And of course, we have the movie Disclosure Day, and Japanese government's following our lead. They're doing the same thing. They're rolling out the disclosure tapes. They're showing things that have been top secret. And, it's just a wild time. We were mentioning also, again, all the animal attacks. There was a 13-foot alligator confirmed as the killer of a Florida woman. This is in Seminole County. Man, they captured a 13-foot, that's a big one, and another 12.5-foot gator, and they killed them where the victim was attacked June 28th. Man, they found DNA that matched the victims. This is just so sad. A gator latched onto her when she was in the water, caused serious injuries to both of her arms. Man, there's just something going on with all these attacks.
I know it's pretty horrible what's going on, and it's no fault of the animal. They're whatever is going on with them. I feel like it's very unnatural, and I guess we have to be more respectful out there and realize, maybe at one point it was okay to go for a walk in Florida, but now not without some type of a equalizer to a creature like that. And I know it's not fair, but we have to do what we have to do. If you got to go out when you go for a walk with a club, that's what you do. And don't walk your little dogs, because I've heard they just take them right off the leash and there's no more little dog. But then the bears and everything else, I think we just need to give Mother Nature some space.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are we looking at? Oh, the infamous skinwalkers. What's the reality behind the skinwalker legend? Again, why would I bring this up? Because I feel that the myths and legends, they're all intertwined. They are all intertwined. And, we encountered some really weird stuff in both New Mexico and Nevada. In Nevada, we had something come on our property that left three-toed prints that, Cindy saw it and it caused her to scream. Literally, it was what we would call a chupacabra. And then we sensed a skinwalker, but we never saw it out in New Mexico.
Yeah, it was a pretty gross experience. It lumbered. It was nasty.
And again, it could have been that it was like on the borderline between 4D and 3D. It's the case where dimensions are merging, and this is why these sightings are increasing. Bigfoot sightings have been increasing. All sorts of cryptid sightings have been increasing. Deep within the Amazon rainforest, stories persist of an upright reptilian humanoid known as the Jacare homem. Literally, it translates alligator man. Standing about 7 foot or more tall, scaled skin, glowing eyes, long muscular tail. This being is said to walk like a human while possessing the strength and instincts of a predator. Hunters and fishermen claim to have seen it, watching it silently from riverbanks or emerging from flooded forests after dusk, moving between the water and the land like it belonged to both worlds. It's believed to be a spiritual guardian created when ancient forest spirits merged with the essence of powerful river reptiles. Elders say it was born during a time when humans first began disturbing sacred waters. It was sent to protect hidden lagoons, burial grounds, and forbidden hunting zones. Legends of travelers who mocked the forest and later vanished, leaving behind broken canoes and strange clawed footprints. Some stories even claim the creature can mimic human voices to lure intruders deeper into the jungle before revealing its true form. But what is its true form? Again, more recent accounts describe encounters with a towering figure covered in dark green scales, standing upright and staring with intelligent, almost human awareness. Witnesses report overwhelming fear, strange electronic interference, and a feeling of being judged by the creature's presence. While scientists dismiss these stories as misidentified animals or psychological effects of isolation, locals insist the Jacare homem is real and an ancient survivor or interdimensional being tied to the rainforest itself. Yeah, again, we've talked about the stories of reptilians come from all over the world. And again, what we see is a lot of stories of shapeshifters. Skinwalkers are shapeshifters. They're said to be, sometimes they are medicine men. They were the holy men of the tribe that go down the dark path and start craving power, and different things, wealth, etc. It could be any of the usual triggers. This is a video supposedly of a tall gray. It looks pretty similar to what I had seen back in 2017 in my bedroom. And I've shared that story with you guys many, many times. Again, these things all interconnect. They all intertwine. There's another creature that's like a feline human hybrid, the Yagarete Aba, kind of like a werewolf, but again, more of a feline version of a werewolf. And this is again from South America. Argentina has a lot of cryptid action. Argentina also had a lot of giant action when you go back to those ancient maps that we were talking about. They were always sticking a little giant in there with the human explorers coming over, the conquistadors, and the giants were typically friendly in most cases there. But we also know not so friendly when you start talking about those red-haired giants that seem to have a certain taste for barbecue. Again, these stories, they're just abound. And this one, again, the Yagarete Aba, could be, again, like a medicine man that has the ability to transform into a jaguar. So humans that could have that ability to shapeshift or even shift out of the 3D and into the lower fourth density. Bigfoot, that's what we get, is that it's an interdimensional being. And then again, what we have with so many of these stories are always going back to the shape-shifting thing. This one right here is supposedly showing a Sasquatch with a baby. Again, there's so many fakes out there, but it's still, the point is there's a lot of videos that I think are real. This might not be one of those, but again, it's up to everybody to judge for themselves. I do think the evidence is overwhelming that, yeah, absolutely. There are Bigfoot out there, probably massive population of them, with the type of sightings that we've had all over the world. I would think there has to be at least hundreds of thousands, if not millions. But you might not have all Bigfoot that are able or want to come down to the 3D. Maybe most of the Bigfoot are staying in 4D and want to avoid any sort of human contact at all.
When I was little, I grew up in northern Idaho, and just God's country. It's so beautiful, but it was very common for us to hear Bigfoot, and it was just talked about by the locals. And there was a few times I remember when I was a little girl, you would hear it call up on the mountain, and when it called or yelled or whatever it was doing, all the farm animals went silent. It's like we were right nestled up by this mountain, and it would make its noise, and all the animals just quiet, and they all turned and looked up at the mountain. And this happened every time that thing was calling, and it happened a few times. So I do have experience with Bigfoot. I know it can make other noises too. When I was a little girl, I would go riding up in the mountains. I had the best childhood ever. I would go riding up in the mountains, and so often I really feel like it was watching me, because I could feel eyes on me, but then I would always hear this little kitten. And every time it was the same thing. I would hear a little kitten. And I wasn't afraid of anything. I wasn't raised in fear. So I'm just kind of curious. I kind of approach everything in a state of curiosity. And I would hear the little meow, and I would follow it. And I would keep looking for it. And I swear, I really think it was just watching me and making those little kitten noises just to get me to go and look and see what it could do. But it was really, I'm so blessed to be able to grow up in those mountains and be able to just go horseback riding as a child whenever, I don't know, I'm here today. I had no helmet, no cell phone, no saddle, no nothing, just a horse. And it was the best thing ever. I hope I get to go out the same way I came in.
This is an old movie, The Legend of Boggy Creek, and this stuck with me because it was one of the first scary things I saw as a kid. This one really stuck with me. It's this 1972 American docudrama horror film that explores the legend of the folk monster, Folk, Arkansas. Cindy and I were looking at a property very close to this, and, I was enthralled. And she was like, meh, because the energy was really scary. I mean, it was really, yeah, it was, again, densely wooded. It was a nice little cabin in the woods, but we actually saw a footprint there, that I think was a Bigfoot footprint. And we also had experience where we were looking at this house on this property. We walked out into the woods a bit, and something was wrapping on the tree. And so I wrapped on back to the tree, and that's, one of those things that Bigfoot does to communicate. So, we knew one was watching us, or it could have been a crazy person too, just building on the legend.
It could have been, but everything fit in that moment, and it did have a certain stillness to the area that I remember as a little girl when the forest would just go still. It's like it's a special feeling, almost like that. That's kind of reverse hearing is the best way I can describe it. That's when a portal has opened.
So what about our leaders? How many of them are really like us? I mean, how many of them maybe are something else pretending to be us? When you think about it, I mean, not just Kamala Harris's neck, again, Albert Bourla from PF Iser, him, JB. Yeah, I think it's going to turn out that, we're going to find out probably within, I would venture definitely within 10 years, maybe a lot less, that a lot of what we've taken to be politicians or very, very powerful businessmen, they're not Homo sapiens sapiens. They are not. And this is Jim Carrey. And this is the original, by the way. I think it is, truly. Not what we see now. And, people, just like with Oliver Tree feels like he was giving away a lot of secrets. Jim Carrey, it seems like he was giving away a lot of secrets. And, is that part of what happened? When you make a deal with the devil, we brought this up today. That old wives' tale about making a deal with the devil, the devil wants to buy your soul and he'll give you fame and everything. It was coming through to me that it's not that you really sell your soul to the devil, but maybe you really do sell your body to the devil, for the devil to inhabit when the devil calls in the dead. So think about that, think about that. Does the entity get to bop the original soul out of the body and then utilize the body as a vehicle for its own use and purpose?
It's a curious thought.
Just a thought, again, just a thought. This rabbit here has a thought too. Ditch the phone, dude. Pay attention to me. Embrace nature. Don't replace me with AI.
Yes, Rama and Sita are magical at that. They have the perfect nose nudge to just pop the phone right out of your hands. And I know that the technology, it's creeping in on all of our lives, and make some deliberate time to put it down and use your hands. Our hands are a gift. Our hands create, whether it be crochet, coloring, drawing, writing, whatever it is, use your hands. Keep those hand chakras busy.
Yep. And Cindy's going to give us some dings, and I'm going to wish everybody Loka Samasta Suki no Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my own thoughts, words, acts, and deeds contribute to that in some way. Again, if we can all do what we can do to raise frequency, one of the things is basically be the healthiest version of yourself. When you look at the more info on all the videos that we upload, there is a link to our affiliate with LifeWave, which is one of the companies that we partnered with because we use them every day. We use the LifeWave patches. Personally, I use the X39 and 49. And Cindy will use the Alavita as well. There's many different patches doing different things, but the X39 is really exciting because it literally, we were talking about when you fast, triggers stem cells to get going and waken up again. Same thing with the patches. It awakens the stem cells, and that really is one of the keys to longevity and to youth.
Yes, I mean, our very own Karma Doc did extra research on it. And she said this is probably the best invention in her lifetime. And thank you, Bob Hawk. We really appreciate that. I highly suggest this if you are going into surgery, coming out of surgery, going through a healing journey. I would highly recommend this. It really helped boost me. And I use it on the pups too. You know, if Sita breaks out with a little limp or something, or Rama too, I put it on their collars. So I use the used ones, you guys. I use the ones that I used, and I use it on the pups, and I just put a couple extra on there on the collar. But it's been wonderful. It's been very, very helpful. So if you're in a business, or you know people that might benefit from this, just let them know. And it's also very easy to get started with it too. If you wanted your own affiliate link, it's very easy to get your own affiliate link. And I'm a different person now than I was then, and I can just even verify for them even more that they have really helped us and helped other people too. Mostly with the men, it's about the weightlifting, and with the women, it's about the clear mind and just being able to do new things. So with that, we want to throw our website up there. Go see our market. Our wonderful elf is always putting up new things and new videos too. She's putting up the latest of videos, and she's been such a blessing in our life and so helpful. We just cannot be even more grateful. She just wanted to come in and help us do this, so it does help us a little bit, helps her a little bit. And everything is charged. I mean, I spend time going through and everything in the quantum. So it's going to bring a little bit of healing. Lakshmi, if you have a business or if you're wanting relationships, the Lakshmi puzzle is very advantageous. It's going to help all of that while you concentrate on Lakshmi. She is the goddess of abundance. So, all right, you guys, let's do some dings.
As always, guys, much love. Thank you for everything, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
Source bless and namaste.